Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Movie Gage. I'm your host, Austin Gage, and on this week's episode, we're going to be talking about The Great Gatsby. The Great Gatsby was directed by a man named Baz Luhrmann, who has directed other films such as Australia and Moulin Rouge. He is known for his artistic abilities as a director. He definitely specializes in the visuals, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's what he focuses on in most of his films. The same goes for The Great Gatsby. This film stars a lot of big names, including Leonardo DiCaprio, who, despite having never won an Oscar, is excellent in any film that you'll watch him in. It also stars Carey Mulligan, who's a very good actress, and Topher Grace, who a lot of you guys know as Eric Foreman from That 70s Show, or Spider-Man from the first two, which are great films, in my opinion. He's also in the third one, but we don't talk about that. The Great Gatsby is definitely one of Baz Luhrmann's films in the sense that it's very stylistic, very heavy on the visuals, and that actually hurts the film throughout the first act, I would say. There's a lot of directorial choices that Baz Luhrmann makes, such as the use of jump cuts during a dinner conversation. For those of you who don't know, jump cuts is something in which you're watching something happen, and then the next second, they're somewhere else. And now you're watching something else. And you're still in the same location, but it would be like me moving here to here without you ever actually seeing me move. So he uses those time and time and time again, and it almost gives you a headache throughout the entire first act. Eventually, that slows down. He decides to focus more on the story, and by that point, we're extremely thankful for that. The score for this film is done by Jay-Z, which is an awesome choice. I think he's a talented rapper, in my personal opinion. But it didn't really work with this film. I'm all for taking modern music and placing it to a more past time period. I think it, when done well, can be really awesome to contrast the two ages and see how humanity kind of is the same now as it was back then. But in this film, it didn't really work because it's the 1920s. People were swing dancing and they were playing trumpets, and it really contrasted with the kind of slow hip-hop beat to Welcome to the Jungle from Watch the Throne album, which is a great album, by the way. You should probably definitely check it out. But regardless, as that song was playing and people were dancing and the parties and were excessive and everything, you could tell that those people were clearly not dancing to that music. And it seemed off, and it took you out of the movie. At least it did for me, and that was very distracting, and it definitely hurt how much I enjoyed the film. I will say this for the film: the acting is really great throughout. Everyone just does a really fantastic job. Leonardo DiCaprio, especially, whenever he's on stage, Baz Luhrmann recognizes that it's time to slow the camera down and just focus on the man and watch him do something great, and he does, and he delivers. And I personally haven't read The Great Gatsby. I know, English minor, but never happened to pick it up. But from what I can tell, he just does an excellent job of encapsulating the man that Gatsby is, whoever that is. And also, Carey Mulligan, she's good. She's a really good actress. But in this film, I found her to be a little boring and wasn't very sure why Gatsby was pursuing her with such a intense desire. The husband of Carey Mulligan in this film he did a great job and really added to the tension of the whole thing. And Topher Grace was also excellent as well. He played the very passive character, which a lot of people complained about, but as far as I'm aware, that's what his character is supposed to be. So in that sense, good on you. So the acting is great. The script is not bad in the least bit. It really kept me on the edge of my seat at certain times, and made me wonder what was going to happen next, seeing as how I hadn't read the book. But I will say that the directorial choices. It was really the fact that Baz Luhrmann directed this film. Whenever Topher Grace would be typing, there would be letters up on the screen, and whenever there was a party, just lights and confetti everywhere, and it was just a bit excessive in my opinion. I really wish that maybe he had chosen to slow it down and to really focus on the character development, and he didn't, and that's okay, I guess, kind of. So anyways, all in all, this movie is pretty good, mainly due to Leonardo DiCaprio, who just brings it home, and he is the Great Gatsby. Also, the script and the story is excellent, especially if you haven't read the book. Maybe if you have, you're disappointed in it, but I didn't really see any problems with it. But the directorial choices, once again, of Baz Luhrmann can really give you a headache. And if I were to give this movie a score, I'd give it a D-. It's not a bad film. I wouldn't fail it, but it's also not a good film. So it's only in 3D. So if you want to spend $10 on it, and you're really into Leonardo DiCaprio, I say do it, because you're not going to want to miss this performance. If you've never been a big fan of the man, then you might just want to skip this film altogether, because, sorry, Baz, but not your best work. So anyways, thank you for watching. This has been the Movie Gauge. I'm going to try and do this for every film that I see this summer. So wish me luck, and hope that my bank account stays open. Have a good week.